Van Baale, and as you can tell, there's his bio. And go ahead, Mark, tell us a little bit more about, I guess, your points here, and then go to Twitter.
Absolutely. Well, thanks everybody for having me here tonight to talk about Twitter and also about Twestival. A little bit of background about myself. I'm an education chairperson for the Social Media Club Kansas City, and that's a group here that's been has about 800 members in the Kansas City area. A lot of people just want to learn from one another, sharing information, stuff like that. Helped organize a couple Kansas City Twestivals that raise funds for charity, so we'll be talking a little bit about those and how those came about. Really passionate about helping others learn social media, so it's really great to be here tonight to talk with all of you about this, about Twitter and kind of what that's all about. And kind of been involved in the marketing and web design industry for about 8 years now. So that's a little bit of background. And tonight I'll just kind of talk real quick about effectively using Twitter. Talk about what is Twitter, why should you consider using it, some Twitter growth numbers, how I kind of got started on Twitter, how I use it, how does one get started on Twitter, what should I write about. You know, a lot of times I can be, okay, I'm out there, what do I say now? You know, how can you connect with others? And also there's some training coming up for those that want to learn how to use Twitter. You know, talk a little bit about that. Also, we talking about the Kansas City Twestivals. What is a Twestival? It's kind of a unique name. How Kansas City got involved, and how we promoted it on web and also on the print, and kind of the results of the first one and the second one we'll talk about. So what is Twitter? It's kind of got a funny name to it. Now, if anybody's ever seen, it's got like a little bird. People call them tweets whenever you send out a message. And it's basically a website where you can have messages you send out up to 140 characters at a time. It's kind of like a mobile phone SMS message that you would send out if you're texting somebody. So 140 characters is a small amount, but it's kind of a quick, easy send out a note to somebody about it. When it basically appears on your page in the form of a timeline, so when you send out a message, you'll just have a timeline from the most recent one to the oldest one. People can choose to follow you, and they can read your messages that you put out there on the timeline. Your messages can be retweeted, and that basically means that if somebody sees a message you put out there and they want to send it on to their followers, then they can put an RT in front of your username, and it's kind of forwarded on to their followers. Kind of like a forwarded email would be. You can reply to people, your own followers, like if you have a question you want to ask somebody, or you just want to reference somebody, you would put an @ symbol in front of the username. And you can also direct message people, kind of like a private message. You can send out a message directly to somebody where nobody else can see it. So why should you use Twitter? A lot of times people use it in many different ways. It really is up to you and how you want to use it. A lot of times people use it to connect with people. They want to share information. And one thing that's been very popular is something called a live tweet, where people go to conferences or like an event like this. Like if you have this WebPros meeting, like if you have a hashtag, it's basically like a pound symbol, and then whatever you want the event to be called, like KCWEBPROS. It could be like pound symbol KCWEBPROS. And as you're talking in a meeting, you can pretty much tweet on there or send out a message about whatever's being talked about, and include that hashtag at the end, and then people can see what's being discussed in the meeting itself. So a lot of people use it at conferences, and so a lot of times you can follow out there if you want to learn what's going on at a conference, find that hashtag that everybody's using, and just kind of see the different messages going through there. A lot of times people use it to keep in touch with friends and family, kind of like Facebook, but this is a little bit more open at times. If you have family that's maybe geographically somewhere else in a different part, you can kind of keep up with them. It's really starting to be used now as a rapidly updating search engine, where if you really want to search for something, you can send a note out there and people will basically come back to you with anything that you're trying to look for. If you want to send it out to links to your blog or your website, you can say, okay, here's a short link, and people can go there and read information, like if you're promoting something or you want to just share some news. It's really good also for a job networking tool. And since I'm kind of in that area right now, a lot of recruiters and companies are out there, getting out there on Twitter and basically posting jobs, and you can go out to their website, and so it's been a really good, useful tool for that. And also, another one is getting the resources you need. Many times, if you're in another city, and you say, okay, I'm in Chicago, and does anybody know any good places to stay or visit in here? A lot of times you might have some people that are following you that say, well, we'll send you recommendations. It's been really good for that type of thing.
Is MCG on Twitter?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Like I said, I've used Twitter once and I just didn't understand it enough.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's why you are here.
That's why I'm
still
There's some Twitter growth stats. This was a recent study that was done by the Pew Internet and American Life Project, and you can kind of see, it shows you from December 2008 and then September 2009, the different age groups. As you can see quite a bit, like the 18 to 24-year-olds, so they really have taken to it, and it's really kind of shut up. But a lot of the groups, it really has expanded quite a bit. 25 to 34, it's 31%, and it just really kind of depends your comfort level with using Twitter, but that gives you a good idea of how it's really grown quite a bit. I know Facebook is the most widely used social networking site. A lot of people are using that now. Twitter's probably the third or fourth ranking social networking sites for usage, because a lot of people are out there. They're learning what is it. You know, it's kind of like an instant messaging, microblog type of thing. So a lot of people are kind of learning how it works, and so it's slowly building up steam. A lot of people are also kind of using it. For example, in the presidential election, last one that was here, there was a lot of use of that as people were kind of being rallied behind Barack Obama for the president. So it was really a interesting way of how people are using it in many different ways. So how did I kind of get started on Twitter? I guess a lot of you might be able to relate to something like this, because this is kind of how I started out there. About August 2008, I was in the area and I was looking for a social media group, because I really was starting to want to know about social media, what it's all about. And I signed up for it. Then in August 2008, basically I wanted to kind of connect with people in the Kansas City area, and then also the social media club. At that time, the club was really just starting to kind of get organized, and I really wanted to start following them and hearing what they have to say. So I just basically sent out a note and said, okay, I'm out here. You know, people start following me if they want to, and then I started finding other people's handles, I guess you could say, and went out there and started connecting with people.
Oh my God, this is the CD of the 1970s.
Is the profile that you showed up there, is that similar to the texting profile in terms of the age grouping? Do you have any crossing there?
That's something I can look into, but I think it's pretty similar, I'm thinking, because a lot of them are starting to use that. Yeah. And I basically kind of use it a lot of times for like an instant messaging microblog tool, where it's an instant update to somebody, and you can also blog. It's kind of a short type of blog type of thing, whatever's on your mind. A lot of times I use it today also to talk to friends that I've met, and it's really kind of amazing that a lot of people, because when I moved here about a couple of years ago, I really didn't know anybody, and then when I eventually got on Twitter and I started connecting with people and have like-minded interests and that type of stuff, I really have got to know a lot of people first through Twitter, talking to people, and then eventually meeting them in real life, and in meetups and stuff like that, and sharing information with them, that type of thing. So a lot of the friends that I have now are basically Twitter kind of started the whole thing, and sharing different type of stuff. So I also use in events like Twestivals. Twestivals is one that we'll be talking about here a little bit. Basically, it was all started on Twitter, sending out the notes to people about volunteering, also donations and that type of stuff.